Hello and welcome back to another episode of Master Your Life. I am Kate McKay and I am so excited to be here again. And I have two guests with me today, and one of them I've introduced and interviewed before. That is Brittany Churchill. Welcome, Brittany. I'm so glad you're here.
So glad to be back.
And I'll be sure to share the link of our interview, another alliteration of you.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, right at the beginning of COVID, crazy as it is. And then her beautiful, lovely, amazing partner, Ian Morris. Ian, welcome also to Master Your Life.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here with both of you.
It's right. And we're like three Leos. So we're like, hold up. Hold on to your hats, everybody. This is not going to be a dim light filling up this space. So, I'm really super grateful. And much of this introduction, I'm going to pass to you both because I wouldn't know how to summate both our pre-interview call that we had and even just before we hit record. There is so much power and strength in your story and what you do, the magic of what you do. So if I could just have one of you just describe, or maybe both of you describe, what is listening to Smile? What is this magic? Or as you described it, the ability for people, your work is the bridge between sound and leading people into their natural gifting, as you worded it so beautifully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Listening to Smile is a unique sound healing company that really focuses on music licensing, working with holistic practitioners. So what we're doing is helping them create more tools in their tool belt and also utilizing sound in a way that can create multiple revenue streams for them. So it's something that not only protects them from copyright law, but also gives them the ability to add music and create a brand for their company with frequency-based music. And so that's really what our focus is with the company. But as far as the business template, but the real work underlying that is actually, like we were discussing, pulling people into their power, helping to empower people to step into their voice and step into their talents, their passions. And so it's something that takes them from their head to their heart. And that's really what the focus of the music is.
Oh, yeah. I just have a question because those of you who aren't familiar, maybe the listeners and viewers don't know what sound healing is. Like, could one of you guys describe that? How you describe sound healing?
So the way I describe this music is it's like a vessel or a gateway for people to be still and know God. And so what we're really doing is we're creating very, very intentional music and songs with very specific pure tone frequencies and binaural beats. And what it's helping people do is quiet the mind, still the mind, and so they can come into their heart. And so when you have this experience, and it's very experiential, when you're immersed in this sound, it really helps you become almost like a master self-observer. You're starting to notice things about yourself. It could be physical, like tingling in the hands, or suddenly you have radiating heat in the back of your neck, and you're starting to notice these things. And we talk about this when we have these workshops that we do. We teach people how to start observing. And what's so vital about doing this process of helping people come into stillness and come into presence is that we live our lives outside of being present. We live our lives thinking about the future, planning about that contract we have to get done, or those emails, or we're thinking about the past and we're feeling a lot of grief or frustration around a conversation. Like, we're never here. And so when we're constantly operating from this space, we can become easily distracted. We can become numb to how we're actually feeling. We're not clued into our body, when in reality, our mind is working along with our body and our emotions. They're all tuned into one another, trying to bring us into harmony. So what this music does is it brings this sense of stillness, right? And so you can actually feel, and you're coming into your heart space and you're listening. And it's like that process alone is magnificent. And for people who don't actually step in and take pause, take moments to actually purposely listen to their body and how they actually feel. And what we do, especially in our personal coaching, is we help people take these observations and process and release, because emotions are just energy in motion. And so for people, when you're stuck in your mind and you're numbing things out, or you're distracting and you're not clued into yourself, then you're actually not allowing your body to fully process these things. So the energy becomes stagnant and stuck. And this music, and especially, and I'll, like probably explain how he makes the music, but the way he makes it, it shakes up that stagnant energy and helps it come to the surface to be observed and processed and released. So in short, this music is the gateway for that. Does that kind of sum it up?
Yeah, you did a great job.
He's like, yeah, that's perfect. You guys are a perfect harmonic convergence. And also, it's this beautiful, the yin and the yang. And as I had mentioned, a lot of when you hear about sound healing, it's sort of been, the market has been sort of owned out by the more esoteric. And for my space, just because I'm older than you guys, really more of the female space. In my shamanic training, my shaman uses sound bowls, as we had talked about, which has been absolutely extraordinary. And music is a centering force of certainly my life. We weren't able to watch TV, so we were all like freaky music people. But Ian, you have a pretty incredible story. I would love it if you would share your journey through this music, through great, incredible struggle and mortality, to be honest. I'm just going to throw it out there.
So yeah, in 2012, right in 2011, 2012, I was diagnosed with MS and colon cancer. I was pretty severe overweight. I was about 320 pounds. And I was a baseball star growing up. And so my whole life, I was told I was going to play professional baseball. I was a pitcher and I could hit home runs, which was very unique for baseball. Most pitchers don't hit very well. I would hit a lot of home runs. There was a lot of games where I would hit 2 home runs and pitch like a 2-hitter as a pitcher. And so it was just something where I had college.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Let's just call that out as insane. That is just crazy. Were you in a state of flow in that time, or was that one of these feeling pressure that I had to do for someone else? Or did you feel, because I'm an athlete, so I got to ask you this. Did you feel like you were in flow in the sport of baseball?
I think I just had it in my blood. Like my dad's dad played minor league baseball and my dad played baseball. And I think it was just always really easy. I really looked up to Nolan Ryan, the pitcher from Texas Rangers. I just loved his mechanics. I studied him, I watched him, and I saw his work ethic for practice. Like he would constantly be working. And that's what I did, is I would just constantly, even in the winter time, was, outside in the snow throwing baseballs and excited about spring coming and, that kind of thing. But yeah, it was just something that when I was in 11th grade, I got diagnosed with mitral valve prolapse, which is a valve issue in the heart. And I had a heart arrhythmia issues then. And I think it's just, my life had been pretty traumatic in a lot of different ways. And, we don't have to get into everything, but basically, I think a lot of the heart issues I had were stemming from just a lot of early in childhood traumas. But long story short, when that happened, I was in a game. I passed out. I went to the hospital, was diagnosed with mitral valve prolapse and a heart arrhythmia. And when that happened, all the scouts were like they were just gone. It was like, he's broken. So it was like a dark night of the soul. And I think that's where all the depression and anxiety and weight gain came from, was just everything that I had built my whole life on suddenly changed in an instant. And I think it was just really hard for me. So I went through this new discovery of who is Ian, and I got into poetry, music, and art. And I really love painting, and it's very therapeutic and very helpful to release energy. And I love poetry. I love reading Rumi and Habez and all the mystic poets, but I also love writing it. But the thing that it just felt, for whatever reason, to be my new heart's mission was music. And it was always the struggle of learning, how can you be creative and still support yourself and still create a business and still grow that? And so over the last, 10, 12 years, it's been this huge process of refining, and getting to a place where I feel like we're actually creating change for people individually. It's rippling out to communities and the world. And it's just really humbling and very exciting, to be a part of. So it's just something that my journey, it took me about 1.5 years. I got into sound healing, breath work, meditation. It was things that I never had really been into, but I read the book, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, and got into the healing power of sound by Dr. Mitchell Gaynor. Those books were radically transformative for my life, and it helped put me on a new trajectory. So that was about 2013, 2014. I started really going into yoga studios and working with people, showing them what I was doing. I had lost over 100 pounds. I went through just massive transformation in my life. And so it was something that more people just kept showing up. It was never really meant to be a business. It was just, I wanted to share with people, and more people started asking me to come and to be a part of things. And then, it was like God knocking on your forehead, like, hey man, got you a business here. Let's keep going, So it kind of
such a rarity for most people, Ian. Well, I have to ask you this question because it's so important, because you're a guy, and I interviewed a lot of men just because I lost my son, and I interviewed a lot of men for my book, Claim Your Inner Warrior. Is there a description that you would have on how you would define what a warrior is? Because it's just like when you're thinking about, for me, listening to you and thinking about how many alliterations of you and how much courage it took to leave behind pieces of you, a sport, a weight, health fears, your own family of origin, because you were different. You were weird.
Yeah.
We were weird. We didn't fit into where we were put in the world.
Yeah.
So you became a master of letting go. By all appearances. I honor you for the courage it took to do that. So thank you for modeling that. But how would you describe the definition of a warrior?
I think a warrior is a soul that has a problem letting injustice go. Like where there are people being oppressed or taken advantage of, and that can be your family, it can be your community. I think warriors are the people that stand up and say, no, this is not okay. And they do what needs to be done. And that might be diplomacy, or it might be, giving a voice to people that don't have it, or it might actually be battle, And I think that my whole life, it's something that I've really struggled with. I talked to Brittany about this a lot. It's like, I'm a Leo, I'm an Aries moon, so I've got the fire, I've got the Leo sun sign, and then I have the Cancer rising sign. And I think like when you look at those in a chart, it's really interesting because you've got very fierce, fiery, independent energy, but then you have the compassionate lover, nurturer of the Cancer, and sensitive, and so
that's how you come across as so gentle, but then knowing that you are here to solve. Your soul is here to solve a problem, to solve and to be the warrior of people healing, of people letting go, of people coming into their authentic selves. So how does it feel being a warrior and allowing a warrior person to step in your life, such as Brittany? And Brittany, you have to share the story how you sort of tracked his ass down, because I knew Brittany pre-Ian, and you guys have a gorgeous story, and I would love it if you guys would share that, because it's a big deal. And that's something I really want to highlight, that you both have found a way to work your magic together. And you, Ian, had the courage enough to open up your heart and your business and your magic to Brittany, and Brittany vice versa.
Yeah, that is so true. And I definitely want to honor what you just said, because that is a big deal. He's a king, and I walked right into his kingdom, and he was like, here you go,
Let you in. He put the drawbridge down.
Yeah.
He had the word. He was like, come on.
Yeah. And that's a big deal, especially as a Leo. And it's just, I definitely want to honor that. That's been a life-changing experience for me. Yeah, as far as our story goes, it's really interesting. So I've always played music. Started playing the piano when I was 6 years old. But, when you get into college and get married, I had a previous marriage. And for those that don't know, and started having babies, it's just like life took over. I was like, music doesn't make money.
How important was music, though? Let's qualify that, because it wasn't just like, I played music, Brittany. You were a committed musician.
I was a committed musician, and I played, and it was the place where I felt the most alive, the most connected to God. And it's what soothed my soul, and it felt like a very much a part of who I was. And I'm not going to go into my whole hero's journey around that. But it was just, it was very, very special to me. But I chose to let it go because I, in my mind, thought this is how I need to, go on with life. I was in the matrix. I was like following the cultural norms and like doing the things and super confused the whole time. I was like, I don't know. I think I know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do any of this. And kept living behind other people's shadows or ideas, just trying to make what I thought was the picture perfect life. Well, that obviously unraveled when I got a divorce about 4.5 years ago. So fast forward, and this was about 2 years ago, I was in a state of really deep listening and learning kind of what we were talking about earlier, just becoming this master self-observer, and then really connecting with God and with the universe on a deep level, and just really trying to connect with my intuition on a level I've never known before. And so there's a lot of curiosities that happen with that. I start feeling like, oh, I think I'm interested in, there's some reason I love drums. And so I joined this like Brazilian drumming camp once that summer before and started like playing the drums just to explore. Anyway, so that season, I really felt music coming in very strongly. And for whatever reason, I felt like I was to make a very specific type of music. And my brother is a director of a music school here in town. I mean, he is a resource, but I knew he wasn't the correct energetic pair for me to like create something with. And so I'd heard about Ian on a podcast, Paul Check's podcast. It was the first one about 2 years ago. And I was immediately captivated just in listening to the way he makes the music. I had already understood frequencies and knew that they were important, and the way that he created the music. And the music was so beautiful. I used to listen to Spotify music at bedtime and would listen to 432 hertz. And then I found his music, Ian's music, and it's not even comparable. It's just so different and incredibly powerful and not cookie cutter at all. And so I came out of a meditation, this is almost 2 years ago, and I said, I want to make music with Ian Morris. I said it out loud. And you're looking at me. Yeah, and it was like 2 weeks later, I found him on LinkedIn. I don't know why in my mind it was so hard to find a way to connect with Ian Morris. I'm never on LinkedIn, and somehow he came up in my suggested list or something like that. And so we connected, and, we had our very first call, and I was like, this person is like, I've had past lives with him or something. Like there's definitely a connection here. And joined his affiliate program, became a member. And so I was a member for about 8 months before our friendship really, really took off. And then, I don't know if you want to take the other half of that story.
Well, I think, there was definitely some type of energy on our calls. And every month I would communicate with affiliates through phone, just making people feel loved and honored and, appreciative to be a part of a community. And so every month I would spend about 20 minutes on the phone with my affiliates, just talking to them, checking on them, how they're doing. But every time I would call Brittany, we would have these long conversations.
You're talking about time travel,
aliens. Found aliens. Like it was like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And somehow it just felt really easy to talk to Brittany. And at some point, I don't remember, maybe the third conversation before even that friendship got started, she said, Ian, I just really see your music here in Texas on this land, healing this place. And I was in California and I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know, maybe, it's like, but it was something that was very distant to me. It wasn't something, and there was just a lot of changes. And so I had some investors here in the Fort Worth area and around, and I had people that were going to be down here. And so I ended up coming, and it was like a 2-week trip that was going to be here. And there's a lot of story in between this. I just don't want to
tell
take.
the Google story though.
Yes.
You need to tell the Google story.
Yeah, we can tell the Google story.
Okay, I'll tell the Google.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the phone, and in my mind, it's this battle of heart and mind. Like I can feel the energy around the connection. Like I have an energy, he has an energy. The two of us, there's that energy, between us, and I could feel it. But in my mind, I was thinking, because he was asking me to come in and do stuff for Listening to Smile. And I was like, but we also feel this connection. And I'm like, I don't want to, you don't mix the two, because like if one goes away, then that's really like not good. And so we were struggling with that and just talking about it on the phone. And this is while he was still in California. So I have a Google Home device, or I did, in my bedroom. And, when you have those devices, there's a call sign. You say, hey, Google, or okay, Google. And then you ask it a question or give it a command, and then it responds. So I'm sitting there on the phone with him, just saying, I don't know. Let's think this through. And
it had gone back and forth a few.
It had gone back and forth a few times.
10 minutes.
And Google was just like, all right, I've had enough. These guys need help here. And out of nowhere, Google goes, we can be brave together. Just nowhere.
There was no call.
No call sign, nothing. I was like, what did I just say? Did I say something that could have cued it? Nothing. And Google, we tried to recreate it over and over and over, and we couldn't recreate Google saying that. Even asking Google, say, hey, Google, can you say we can be brave together? And it was like, I don't understand.
Yes.
So
that is so powerful.
It was so bizarre.
Did you write a piece called that?
Yes.
You did. Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hi, this is Kate McKay. If you're interested in booking a strategy call with Kate McKay, please reach out to us at kate@kate-mckay.com. I look forward to speaking to you soon.
So, well, then what is the way, since, it's that, and I guess this is the question, what would you advise people? Because, as I said, we're weird and we're used to being different, and that independent, like no one's really going to understand. How did you know that it was the right thing to merge love, music, business, life, souls?
I don't think it's always the right fit, right? But I think what made it, for me, I ran a nonprofit called Homemade Genius for 10 years. It was 9 years and some change. I worked with underserved kids with music and art lessons. And so in that process, you're working with people who need to step into their voice, step into their confidence. And so it was something I was just really used to, working with people. And then also other musicians, that would look up to what I was doing and ask a lot of questions, and then just needed encouragement to build their courage to step into their power too. So I think like a lot of mentors and a lot of different people, Paul Check was one of those people with me, it was like just people encouraging me to step into it. So I've been on both sides of that, but I also, I think what it was is that I could see Brittany's heart from the first conversation that we had. And that was the thing. Brittany is an absolutely amazing, beautiful woman, but even more so to know her heart and to see that side of her was so powerful. And the first time I heard her play piano and to sing and the things that she was doing, and it's like, it was just something that I'm a little older than Brittany. I have a little more experience in those things. And I saw like, this needs to be developed. There's like talent and it's amazing, and there's beauty in what she's wanting to do. And it's very similar to what I'm doing. And so it was just like a no-brainer of like, we've got to carve space and help her feel like she's not stepping into just my thing and living behind my shadow, but creating her own place on the platform, creating her own jobs and having creativity to express herself in those outlets. And I think that not only has it been healing in our relationship, but it's been healing with the clients that we've been working with. And there's lots of times that her femininity and her heart and her experiences are much different than what I can offer clients. And so it's really diversified the offerings that we're doing, whether that's the certifications or the coaching or even the music, lending her voice to the music and the way she taps into spirit and brings that into the projects. It's just really, really powerful.
I think on my side, to answer your question, is that I was, a few months prior to stepping into this, I was just in a season of like looking at all the stuff I was doing, and I was like, the only thing that feels like really, really resonant with me and the most alive and connected is this music, is listening to Smile music. And so I was already deeply connected with it and committed to making this music a piece of my work. And then I was just in a season of deeply listening and learning to say, learning that it is safe to trust my intuition. So when Ian came in and started opening up this door, it was almost this divine thing. It's hard to even describe. It just felt like so much rightness around it. And beyond the work, beyond listening to Smile, this guy is my best friend. Like, it's just, and that I think makes it so much easier, because I know beyond this work, he often says this could be gone tomorrow. What really matters the most is this connection, this foundation, our relationship. And so I think beyond everything else, it's just, he's my best friend. And then he held an energy of the person I desire to have, like, in my life, this energy of this human. He brought that in and anchored it in without me even like telling him, this is what I need. He was just like, it was him. And I had a list. He checked
some boxes. He checked some boxes.
Yes.
Well, I love it because Jay Shetty wrote a book about the 8 rules of love. And I love the way he describes it. He's like, the first date's like, do you jive? Your personality's chill. Second is like values. And he gives a list of questions. Third one I love. And he goes, you're your partner's guru. And he uses this story about when he was a monk, because he was a monk, that every morning, his guru would kneel before him. He's a 22-year-old kid. Guru's like 70. And it was basically like, that is what it means to honor the other person, no matter what their wisdom or experience is. It's like, and how do we show up in relationships like that? Not only honoring the union and the shared goals and the shared love and the shared vision, you're on the same side, even when things are heated and you're fighting, still on the same side of it. But also being able to honor each other's gifts and goals. And I love it that I see that journey in your discussion. And so few people have the opportunity or the willingness. And I'm going to come back to this word, which is what you spoke of in the beginning, what you and I, the three of us were talking about before we hit record, which is trust. And that being the bridge to the music. That your goal, as you said, and just to have people trust their intuition for self-sovereignty and to trust that they know, the knowingness of who they are.
Yes.
It's pretty magical. Could you just talk, I know you have a new product coming out, but I would love it if you would just talk a little bit more about what it is. Like, what if you were to describe to somebody that was like, how it could affect somebody and why it's important, what would you say? Like, what is the structure of it and how would you communicate it so that people are like, oh my God, I need that? Because I've heard it, Britt, your piece that you did in that my image of you in the caves, that place where you stayed, I have the most beautiful image of your story of how that song came to life. But what would you say to someone that that this could help? You just know.
I'll let you take that one.
Okay. I think what's really magical is I'm going to tell a short story about one of the people that we worked with. It's the supportive role. And I think like both of us have compassionate hearts. Both of us are nurturers. Both of us are big emotional lovers, like and when you get down to the brass tacks. But taking what we have learned in our relationship and learning how to create a container for another person that is masculine and feminine, the yin yang together, and then being able to give them tools that keeps them inconsistent, like keeping them consistent with their self-care routines, I think is like one of the most powerful things. And so it's not just the music, it's the intentionality behind it and the way it connects with the listener. So what that looks like in real life situations is we had a woman that knew my uncle, and she contacted us because he suggested that she reach out to us for help. Her son was 16 years old and he was a wrestler. And he was in a wrestling match and he got picked up over the head of the opponent. And the opponent was trying to do a move with him, but he dropped him and he fell on his head. And so it broke his neck. And so when they got to the hospital, the doctors were telling her, I don't think he's going to have bladder and bowel function. I think he's going to be quadriplegic for the rest of his life. And so that's where she was at. Maybe 6 hours or 8 hours into that, she contacted us. And so I told her, I said, this is a really intense connection, you bringing this to us. It's I feel compassionate for what you're going through, but I also feel overwhelmed in your expectation of what you want this music to do. And so basically what we told her is the biggest thing that you can do for your son right now is believe that he will walk again. And to also know that you are carving out a space for a miracle to happen, and that you're co-creating with God this new experience, this new timeline that can take place if you believe in it. And I said, you have to believe in it enough for yourself, but it's not enough. Like you have to believe in it for him and hold the space and container for him to truly believe that that miracle is possible. And so I said, this music can play a part in that, but you most definitely have to take responsibility for the environment you're creating around your son. And I said, it's very trying and it's hard and it's a lot to ask of you, but I know that you can do it because it's your son and I know you love your son, right? So we had this conversation where we talked about Joe Dispenza, who got in an injury and they told him he'd never walk again. And of course he did. And then he dedicated his life. So we referred her to check out some of his work. And then we basically just told her to have conversations with God and to constantly make that environment enlightened, like light feeling, and to have jokes and to still be connected to your son just like you always would. So they bought a bunch of music. We gave them a bunch of music for free. And she bought a new set of headphones for her son, and she made him listen 3 hours a day. And she would make the joke, like she said, well, he can't stop me. So I'm putting him on.
Exactly. Too bad, so sad.
Yeah. And so she made him listen to the music for 3 hours. And then she contacted us like maybe a week later and said that it was helping with her grieving process, for her to empty out her tears and to process the emotions for herself. And about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it was like really short after that, he took 2 steps on his own. And so from that process, it was another 2 months, I think, and he walked out of the hospital. Maybe it was 3 months, but it was a short time from what they said that he would never walk. Now he's doing rehab and he's learning how to throw a ball. He's getting back into walking and he's like living a life. He's got bladder and bowel function back. All the things they said would not happen are present. And I believe that, yes, the music played a part in that, but I also think it was the heart of the mom. And sometimes people just need encouragement to step into what they already know. And it's like this music can be the soundtrack for that type of work.
Another good analogy for it is like, say you're right here, but you want to be here. This music is like the ship. and your intention is like you and your crew on the ship, and you want to get over here, right? So this music is literally, it's just a vessel. It's the carrier for your brain entrainment, right? Or the frequency follow response that is happening because you've aligned yourself with the intention of the music, with your intention of that you've brought to the listening session, right? And then you're mirroring that, or not mirroring, what's the word? Combining that with your emotional charge. Like if you have this intention and you have the emotional charge behind it, and then it can go much quicker with this music, if that makes sense. Does that?
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. So, well, talk to me also too in the audience. What are the ways that people can play with you? What does it look like tangibly? That how can people play? Because a lot of this, like you do monthly music, and then you guys do coaching, individual coaching, and you also have programs as well. So what's up? Where are you guys growing?
Number one, join our mailing list. Okay. So that way you can be in the know about all the live events, workshops. We have online challenges. I think this music is incredibly experiential. So having these experiences, we've created wonderful experiences for live and online, and they're transformative. We have a lot of testimonies that have come back from these different experiences. So I think if you want to get plugged in and have an experience with us, then go to our website and get connected that way. But I'll let Ian talk about all the different things that we offer.
Awesome.
The only thing I wanted to say is that most sound healers use singing bowls, didgeridoos, gongs, tuning forks, those types of things, and they offer the experience live. And so there's two things going on here. One, I used to hold groups like that, and I would see lots of turnover in the people who were coming to the events. And I asked one of my friends, I said, "You're not going to hurt my feelings. Just shoot it straight with me. Why have you stopped coming?" And they said, "Well, it was really cool the first couple times, but," he's like, "the singing bowls and the didgeridoos, they all sound the same after a while. And they there's not a diversity like a guitar. It's just like the same note over and over." And he's like, "So once you've seen it, it's kind of like, okay, I got it. I got the idea of what this is." And so it got me thinking, like, how can I create a more diverse experience? And so I started adding my voice. I started adding other instruments like synthesizers, drums, keyboards, guitars, all kinds of just different instruments, Native American flutes, the yu-chin, it's a Chinese instrument. So I started adding all these different instruments. And then I learned from experience that in these settings, we're not really working with the body. We are, but the biggest thing, I guess what I'm trying to say is the biggest thing that I see impacted is consciousness at these events. And so one of the biggest things that I started realizing through sound was that the bass was almost a placebo. If people felt lower frequencies in a bigger way, like subwoofers, like speakers, it was more impactful to them because they would have these experiences like they went to a concert. So I started framing this in my mind, like, what if you could make a sound healing experience epic, like going to a Bonnaroo festival or Burning Man or something like that, right? Where you like come back and you're talking about it for 2 weeks because you had such a great time. So I came up with the term subtly epic, meaning that I wanted to form this new experience that could be subtly epic. And meaning that it was nurturing and loving and something that was not abrasive or like, jolting, but also gave this effect on a spiritual, mental level that they would talk about for weeks after. And so I knew that the shift needed to be that I could create more in a pre-recorded track that would be more powerful, and I could play more instruments than just me as one person or having even one or two other people join me. It became looking at it from a business standpoint. I can create a product that can then go out and make money for me even while I'm sleeping. I can create a product that I can have 10 or 20 instruments on and create this very powerful sound for people. And they can also continue, not just in that experience in a live setting, but they can put on headphones and take it with them and constantly, consistently use that track. And so for me, I started making the shift to pre-recorded and getting away from live performance. In a business standpoint, you were trading your time for the income that you were generating. And I wanted to create something that created passive revenue and create something that not only helped me and helped other people in these environments, but also helped people that were wanting to use this music that may not even see the connection. Hypnotherapists, life coaches, people that could set up very easily multiple revenue streams with this music. And so that began in 2012. It began this life journey to create something. And so we started doing Vedic astrology readings and looking at the month, and then creating an album every single month in the Vedic astrology energies, so that we were accentuating the more playful energies and kind of helping to alleviate some of the denser, heavier energies, and then having communications around it and setting the intention in the container with the listeners. It became very impactful. It was like very noticeable early on. This is the way to go, adding more unique experiences, sound, light, aromatherapy, creating these environments where they could experience it. I was more free to talk a little bit about sound healing and science and spirituality with them, and then hold these talk therapy sessions at the end of the event. The thing that was really neat is that then it was able to grow into the online segments where people could purchase it and then have it at home and then tell people, like, I went to this event, I bought this album, it was totally changed my life. You should check this out. And then they could pass on, people buying those albums for personal use. And the big shift, I'll wrap this up, but the big shift was realizing that people are breaking copyright like every day, like yoga teachers, a lot of holistic people who use music in their sessions. They're paying $10 for Spotify and then streaming it into their studio. And there's a lot of people that are getting busted. I had a person that I met when I was working at Carnegie Mellon University. She came to one of the events and she was saying, hey, I'm getting sued for $150,000 by BMI. She had 6 yoga studios, had 55 teachers that were teaching, and they were all streaming Spotify playlists. And so she said, if I sign up with you, does that protect me? And I said, well, if you just use our music, I said, if you're going to use other people's music, you need to have a license. And so she was like, well, I pay the $10 a month. I don't understand. And I said, well, think about it this way. I said, that $10 that you're paying is allowing you to use it in your car and at your house for you personally. When you cross the line of your business and you're using that, I said, imagine if I took a video of you doing yoga and I put it up on my YouTube site and I put my music over it, and then it got 1 million views and I got some money from people viewing that video. And then she was like, well, that wouldn't feel good. And I said, well, I didn't ask your permission, right? And I said, there might be people who don't want their music used in yoga studios. It's rare, but I've come across people that they think yoga is of the devil, right?
Right.
So,
it's a true story. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. Well,
And
take away the right, you know what I mean? It's like, I've never even thought about that, Ian. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And then you brought up something too, another thing about how people have different responses to music. So one song that we could love and everyone's doing their, relaxation in the end of the yoga. And then a song comes on, you're like, I hate this song. Or, oh my God, me, in the middle of a yoga, so that has happened, right? But there is that piece too. And what I love about this is that the uniqueness.
Yeah, so if we're making new albums every month, there's no connection to the music. They don't have any past history, and it's something where they're experiencing it in the now. And I think that's a neat part of it too. So.
It's a huge part of it. So how does it feel for you, knowing that you wanted to find ways to monetize it? And obviously that's a business thing, but also knowing the level of impact you are having. How does that feel for you guys? Knowing that you really are making a friggin' difference. Like, people are tuned into you.
Going.
You're on the best of something.
It keeps us going.
What's that?
I said it keeps us going.
It's going and it's growing. Yeah. So what is the new product that you're launching soon? So we're in October 2023, but you have some goodness coming early in November. And I'm so pumped about this. This is new to me. Binaural beats help me. I listened to them nonstop when my son died because it was the only thing that calmed me down. And I don't even know what I was listening to, but I would just keep listening until I heard one. Then I was like, oh, whatever that was. But for a lot of years, that's 6 years ago, binaural beats have been my thing. But this is so revolutionary to me. I mean, I feel like I'm a virgin in like music listening. It's that different. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So the music is created with enhanced binaural beats, frequency pure tones. And then the way that Ian mixes and masters everything is just a very unique, coined the term, the LTS method that he uses in creating these songs. And they are extremely powerful. And what you're experiencing with the binaural beats is this frequency follow response with the brain, because you have two different tones being played in your ear. You have, say you have 100 hertz here and 104 hertz here. Your brain, it creates this wobble effect in your mind, and your brain is like, okay, wait, what? What's happening? And so what it does is it basically creates the difference of the two frequencies, which would be between 100 and 104. That's 4 hertz. So now your brain is hearing just 4 hertz, which in the theta brainwave state it ranges between 4 hertz and 8 hertz. So the music, this is embedded into the songs. And so the music is helping you come into that theta brainwave state. So it's lowering the brainwave state, lowering the heart rate. And the theta brainwave state is, it's the most highly programmable. Can you say it?
Yeah.
Programmable?
Yes, good job.
State for your mind. And so when you're trying to change mindsets, you're trying to change habits, or you're wanting to set a new PR for yourself, and you're trying these like visual exercises to like help you up your game in performance, that's where you want to be.
Right. So, this is huge, you guys. People, and this is particularly new now with the new science, neuroscience, that willpower is not enough, people. It is not enough. Willpower will get you started. Like your dopamine hit will get you started. It will not keep you going.
Yeah.
And there are obviously habits and systems, this and that, but this is just the whipped cream and the cherry on top, that there are other modalities that can help us release grief, to be more successful, to get, like you said, PR. Like it's revolutionary. And it's a difference between a B or a B plus life, and then really optimizing your life in all areas, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationally. I mean, you guys are living that high frequency beat. Let me be a witness. Amen.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So talk to me about what you're launching in November.
Yes. So in November 2nd through the 5th, we have our sonic meditation certification. So we have people coming in from all over the globe, coming to learn about frequency-minded music, really, really understand it, learn how to utilize this in their business, because this is a tool. This is a tool we've talked about for a lot of different, we have a lot of different holistic practitioners. I think, wellness minded entrepreneurs, athletic performers, people that want to utilize this tool and then help it amplify what they're already doing in their business or what they're doing in their life. And so we have people coming in from all over the globe, coming to Austin, Texas, November 2nd through the 5th, to learn more about frequency-minded music, to learn more about leading sonic meditations, learning about how to utilize this as a tool to amplify their own business and their life. We're going to go through multiple sessions. Because it is experiential. And so what's important for everybody is to have these types of stories, personal stories, where they've experienced the music and they can feel it doing stuff in their own bodies, in their emotions, their mindsets. And so we will be facilitating, is it 3 or 4 live experiences, and one of which will be a community-wide event. So we're inviting people from the community to come in on November 4th at 6 p.m. and we'll be doing a community-wide large sonic meditation. So it's going to be a lot of people. And so the people that are coming to be certified will help us run that event. So they're getting hands-on experience with how to set up the sound. How do you set up the speakers? How do you determine the right levels? Like what's the best listening experience to help people when they're doing a sonic meditation? And so they're going to help us run that event. And it's going to be a great time.
I think just make this real quick. I think on my point of view, I feel like what this is most people say, well, can I use this music? And like what we're trying to show them with this event is not only can you use this music, but you can resell the music. You can set up a coaching program around this music. You can set up passive revenue around this music. And you can also create a brand, where you're creating change. Like for instance, like a hypnotherapist, a life coach. Not only are you working with them in person or online, but now you have this music that you can sell them and tell them exactly what to listen to, give them homework, and it's a connection to you for when they come back to the next session. You have data points, you have feedback from them about how the heart chakra affected them or how the different body organs affected them and their energetic body. And then they did the homework, the breath work, the intention setting, the different things that you gave them. So it's keeping a connection with them and something that is, and it's integrating, your personality, your work with them as an individual, and they're bringing it back, and it gives them something to look forward to. And it creates revenue, where they can build courses, they can build, so it's all of this is, housed in this template of this certification where they're learning all the ins and outs of taking music, making it a brand, and creating a business like value add for them inside of this, so that when they go back home, they can hit the ground running and create something extraordinary, unique, and different. With
it's really anyone in personal development, spiritual development. I mean, it is for anyone that's in the helping profession of any form. I mean, I'm a high performance coach certified. And I'm always using Brendon Burchard's release meditation technique. I'm sending that to all my clients. And I tried to find the music background. I think it was Wayne Dyer's daughter. And it's been chopped off and you can't use it now. Now you can't find out who did it. I don't know how much he had to pay to get it, because I think it was after the fact. But it's this gorgeous music in the background. I'm like, that's so good. And that's the only reason why I listen to it. I don't listen to it to him. It's just a perfect example of, hey, I'm a high performance coach. And I would also say to you that there are people listening right now that even if you don't know heart chakra, you don't know any of that, the most important thing you can ask yourself is, how does it make me feel?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Does it make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's all I'll do with my high performance clients. Say, hey, let's just put my hand on your heart. Let's just breathe together. Mm-hmm. How do you feel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's enough, because right now we need people to feel.
Yeah.
This is where we're going to be able to add the highest contribution in the world, to bring people back into the heart using the mind, so that we can all raise the vibration together. All of us together. I got goosebumps, you guys.
I do too.
Woo! Let's hold our right shoulder and our left shoulder. But Ian, you told me a story when we were doing our pre-call about how you were holding these events, and like the police were like, hey, there's too many people coming to this goodness. So you better let Austin Police Force know you got something going on. And I'm not kidding. That's all I was thinking about. I'm like, oh boy, you better let them know you got something going on. They're going to say, you brought too many people doing good stuff.
That's so funny.
It's true. That's all I was thinking. My mother and me was like, uh-oh. I'm gonna tell you.
That's good. Yeah, well, I will tell you, you're right on with that, Kate. But we even work with veterans. We work with veteran rights out of Washington, and they utilize our music to help veterans with PTSD. We've worked with the Humane Society with dogs,
Right.
anxiety. We have a pet therapy album. So, I mean, yes, we work directly with holistic practitioners, but I think the utilization of this music is really, really open. And, if you have anxiety, if you have PTSD, trauma,
Need help sleeping.
Need help sleeping.
Yeah,
if you have
exactly.
We've got a wellness series, which I think we'll give you the link if you don't already have it, that's available to the public that has all these different resources of different albums that you can utilize, just purchase and
For private use.
For private use.
For private use. No, this is good stuff.
If you want the permissions to utilize this in your business, then you have to, get the license.
Right. And it's just, and I love that though, because basically what you're showing is a level of respect for people's work. And I think that you talking about that whole Spotify thing, I don't think most people have ever thought of that. But it's one of the ways we honor ourselves and the practitioners and the work together. And I think that that's a really super valid point. I appreciate you actually bringing that up because it is part of it, isn't it? It's like, how are we honoring the unique gifts that we were all given? And I say, hell yeah, to all of it. Oh my gosh. So viewers and listeners, you've got to check this out. I've listened, I had a really crazy week. And so I was listening to some of the links that they sent me pre this because I just lost my mom. And it was just like hearing it. It was really incredible. And I can't wait to dig in more. And I know I'm going to be using it for my own release meditation technique for my clients. And I will definitely be introducing you to some pretty wild people that work with veterans and things like that. So I'm looking forward to this loving partnership that we share together. And I'm so grateful for you. So if you guys, each of them ask us individually, or you can ask it together, you can give me an answer together. But if you had a billboard, what would you want on that billboard?
Oh, interesting question.
What would you want people to know?
Is this a personal or business? Like
whatever you want, boo, right? It's like, what does your soul tell you?
Yeah.
I know.
I wish we got this beforehand. I like to contemplate. I'm a thinker.
I know.
I think.
Yeah.
I was
what you got, Ian?
I think if it was for me personally, it would just be a random billboard. When people saw it, it would be like a picture, but it would be the most obscure, weird, out of context picture, and people would drive by and be like, "Have you seen that billboard? Like, what is
it doesn't make sense.
No sense whatsoever." People are like, "What
a weird person that did that billboard?"
Yeah. Why would they pay for this?
Like, I know. I think we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to raise some funds, and that billboard's gonna be one hell of a good one. Oh my God, I'm owed a billboard in Times Square that I haven't used yet. I bought Times Square over like NASDAQ, so this is part of the reason why I asked Ian. I think we have to collaborate.
Oh, that's so funny.
No, because I don't know what to put on it. I was gonna put on like Claim Your Inner Warrior and all these other things, but I still haven't decided. I spent money at Times Square.
Yeah.
So what about you, Britt? What do you want people to know?
I would have like
to the world.
I feel like what I would do is just figure out a question or a phrase that would help people come to presence. Like snap out of like their distractedness, whatever's going on. If they're on a phone conversation or they feeling like overwhelmed by their emotions because of something dramatic that happened that morning, and it just stops them in their tracks and they come back to heart center and they feel presence. Or like maybe what
do you do when you're, because what I heard was look up. Like for some reason when you were talking, I'm like, just look up. But I don't know, what is that for you? What is that, the mantra? Just be present? Breathe?
No, it's not be present. I don't have a mantra. I think honestly, what helps me come back to presence more than anything is just feeling like bringing. I go through this exercise in my mind where I can feel my energy and my thoughts elsewhere, and it could be just with my children being at school right now and just worried how they're doing on the test, or are they being bullied at lunch, like any of that, or how's my mom doing? Is she healing up okay? And I just know, like feeling my energy out and allowing those tethers that are connected to all those thoughts, past, present, or past and future, just to like be laid down and drawing that energy back into me and bringing it here. And then bringing breath back. Breathing is such a great way to come back into presence when you're just not clued in that you're not breathing. If you're, because breathing is just something you don't think about, but when you bring attention to it, it changes everything. Then suddenly you're feeling the oxygen bring life, giving energy to every cell of your body. And it's just like, oh, I'm here. I'm human. I'm like alive right now in this space. And that's all that's real right now. And you can feel it. And so
that's a beautiful description. Yeah. I know. I don't know how we do it. I think it's like when they used to be like bringing sexy back. I think yours is bringing breath back.
Yeah.
Bringing breath back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Or listening to smile.com.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because you have to check this stuff out. The stuff is magic. And I'm so grateful for both of you for the time. I'm so glad that we had this happen. And anyone has any questions, everything will be in the show notes. Check it out. Absolutely, people. If you're ready to experience a greater sense of freedom and knowingness, this is it. Boy, this is a portal to that place for you. And as you said, it's a little ship that's going to take you across and set sail to freedom, to sovereignty, to your own intuition, and to your truth, which ultimately is our journey.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Let's go.
Amen.
All right. Thank you so much, you guys. And thanks to all the viewers and listeners of Master Your Life with Kate McKay. I don't even know how to describe it. The crazy mix of the beautiful, weird, amazing people that I bring on and their willingness to play and your willingness to listen as we all journey forward on this crazy ride we call life. Peace, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us to this episode of Master Your Life with Kate McKay. If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend.